Welcome to the Wellness in Asheville podcast, where we shine a light on the people, practices, and places that make this city one of the most inspiring wellness communities in the country. I'm your host, Travis Richardson, founder of Be Well Asheville, your local news source for health, wellness, and community events. All right, today's guest is Kyra Cavanaugh, an energy coach, Qigong teacher, and well-being consultant who's helped individuals and leaders recover from burnout and live in alignment with their energy, not their calendar. You can find her classes at Asheville Community Yoga and explore her consulting and coaching resources at 15be.com. That's 15be.com and freeyourself.world. And in today's episode, I just found it really fascinating to hear Kyra's perspective on burnout and the kind of ways that she approaches that and how she's helped others. And it really brought up a lot of feelings from the Helene era that we're still sort of crawling out of, really. So I just feel like this episode really was a reminder to live in the center of ourselves, not outside of ourselves. So without further ado, let's hear from Kyra. Well, welcome to the Wellness in Asheville podcast. Today, I'm excited because we have Kyra Cavanaugh here to talk to us all things related to energy, burnout, and recovery. Kyra, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Travis, it's so nice to be with you. Hello, everyone who's listening.
Yes, I'm excited to talk to you today. The reason is I feel like as the people I've talked to recently, just like in general, are experiencing, I don't know if it's post-Helene stress still, but it feels like there's just a ton of burnout and kind of like energy drain that it seems like we just haven't really recovered from. And so I'm stoked to talk to you about that topic today.
Yeah, it's we could just talk about that. You don't need to ask me any questions or get into a conversation, right? I could just go off for hours talking about just, oh my goodness. It just prompts me to take a big, deep breath. We're all going through so much. Even if we feel like, yeah, I've got it going on, things are good. There's still this underlying challenge for so many people right now. And so I'm so grateful that you invited me to talk about these topics with you today. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah. One of the notes I made was how you talk about this idea of energy management. And the reason why that kind of struck me is because I followed this guy. Some of the listeners maybe have heard of him, Sadhguru. And he talks also about like managing your energy and this beautiful mechanism that you have called your body, and really talks about kind of engineering, yourself. And you also talk about energy management, but I don't think a lot of people understand what that means. It feels like kind of out of reach. So, it's like, and let me put this in a bit of context. It's one thing, I guess, to be, going to a yoga class and kind of having these set times when you're quote unquote managing your energy. But what I'm curious about is, from your perspective, what does that look like outside of yoga class?
So here's the thing. I didn't know what it looked like. I had no idea that I am made of energy, that you are made of energy. Like, I was a workaholic, and I don't throw that term out lightly. And I got very burned out and sold a business because of it, because I didn't even know that I had a certain amount of energy and that I had no clue how to manage it. So I came into this, not sure exactly, 8 to 10 years ago or so, when I was feeling burned out. And I started taking classes and training from various masters in Qigong and the Taoist traditions of energy. And it blew my mind. I was at a weekend retreat, and it blew my mind when they started talking about how we are energy. And I'd heard about quantum physics, but I'm not a physicist. I wasn't going to go, study all of that. But I kind of had heard just, in my day-to-day life, that something about how we're made of energy. And so what's happened is that quantum physicists have proven what ancients have known for millennia, which is that we are just energy. So your physical body isn't solid. Our thoughts are
Mm.
energy, our emotions are energy, illnesses, injuries, things that happen to us, relationships, places we live, the political or socioeconomic situation in our world, all of that can feel very fixed. It can feel like we're fixed. And so it can be absolutely life changing, like it was for me, to realize, like, no, actually, nothing is fixed. Everything is changeable. And our desire to attach to thoughts, to beliefs, to shoulds, to the way that we think things are supposed to be, to grieve, to be sorrowful, to be sad, to be angry. All of those emotions take energy. And then, certainly physically, we probably can connect to that idea of physical energy best. When you're cuddling up with your cat, like you can
Mm.
feel something physically like, oh, I love the softness of their fur. Or when
Right.
you're walking in the rain. I was in the rain earlier today, and you can feel the sensation of the rain. We can get a sense of like, ooh, sometimes being in a body feels really good. And then sometimes being in a body feels really bad. I met a man who had a knee replacement that didn't feel very good, right? So, this idea of energy management is really just to recognize, wow, wait a second, I have all of this energy at my disposal. And we can talk about kind of where that energy comes from. And guess what? I get to manage it. And there are so many ways to manage it, way beyond yoga. And so it's great if you've discovered yoga, but it's so much simpler than that. And so, yeah, the idea with energy management is you have it, you are it, and you can learn how to use it for your benefit.
I love that. I was just thinking, you ever have a download of like you just are like doing some random thing? It always happens to me. I'm in the shower, I'm mowing, I don't know, I'm on a jog. Often happens then, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I just had this realization that it matters so much more how I'm doing something, how I'm doing it, than the thing I'm doing. And I was like, all the things I feel like in my life, whether it's mowing the lawn, some simple thing like that, or
Mm.
you talked about your son getting a college degree, or getting that next job promotion. It feels like there's these things that feel like our progress in life, but I've started to decide that for me personally, those don't feel so much like the things I'm chasing anymore. More so that inner state of calm, of doing something really well and feeling calm while doing it. Does that make
Yeah.
because I does that make any sense? I guess more as do you ever have that idea of like this is more important to focus on
Yeah.
how I'm doing it than the actual accomplishment of the thing?
Yeah. Yes, I do, and it can feel really countercultural. It's one thing to decide to do that in yoga class or Qigong, which is what I teach. It's quite another to bring that whole attitude into your entire life because in our world, we talk, we brag, we socialize, we connect, we share based on how many steps we took for the day, how
Hmm.
long you ran, how much you lifted, how many people you networked with at the event. We measure our progress all the time in the West. We're always singing,
Right.
what did I accomplish? You didn't finish mowing the lawn, Travis. You only got
Yeah.
partway through because of the rain, right? And our brain goes to like, oh, I got to go finish it. Well, what if you never finished it, right?
Right.
So I think that's the real benefit. I can't believe I'm saying this. With all of the stress and everything that happens to us, there's a moment where we can either shift our mindset or we break. Now, I tend to talk a lot in terms of black and white. Of course, everything's on a continuum. But there's that, yes, there's that thing you can pursue. And it feels really good when we're pursuing it. And there are chemical, physical reasons why, like our hormones and our brain are reinforcing that achievement. And if we slow down enough to sit in silence or to recognize what rain feels like on your face, there's this moment to recognize that I am more than my progress. I am more than my
Hmm.
accomplishment. I'm more than my title or my college degree or where I live or how much money I make. And there's a moment to be, like you said, Travis, fully present. It's raining on me. Does it make my muscles want to move to run inside? Do I want to stand here and smell the rain? Rain has a smell. I've never smelled rain before. So, yeah, there's an opportunity. Sometimes we come to it through an injury or through an illness or through the death of a loved one or through tragedy. And we've all been through so much of that in Asheville. And we can lose sight of what matters to us in those moments. And we also have this invitation to come back. Does it really matter? The hurricane changed us. I'm not the same person I was before. Do I want to be that person? Or does that open up? Travis, for you, I don't know that I care about the same things I cared about before. Can we have the courage to stop and take that moment of awareness and realization and then just be open to what comes as a result? That's so cool that you're getting to that point. I've gotten to that point too, for sure.
Well, I bounce back and I bounce around in that from that, on
Yeah,
that
believe
point.
me, man.
Of
I
trust
got
me,
you.
I don't hold it for the goal is to hold it for longer and longer periods of time. But I'm still not there. I was talking to my partner. She's in a job that she initially really loved and really believed in her company. And I hope nobody's listening out there from her company. But there's been times, I guess, in recent times for her where she's felt so burnt out that she doesn't even know how to. And people are like, "Well, just find a new job," or "Why don't you just do this?" And all these things to me also feel like, well, that is true. She could just go get it. Why not go start, networking and do all these things? But it's often the case that people are so overly taxed and so burnt out and so demoralized and so maybe even depressed and feel so stuck that even to move into another job doing the same exact thing for another company feels like impossible to get there. So how do you what would be something you'd recommend if somebody's feeling that way?
The very first thing is to offer yourself some compassion, to just take enough of a time with yourself. So maybe you just go for a walk, maybe you journal or you do some dancing or some art or whatever makes you feel safe. So step one, do I need a mindset shift or do I need some sort of action? See, what can happen is we can feel un or dis and then fill in the word that we want, right? Unfulfilled, we can feel disconcerted or discontent or discouraged. And then we feel like, well, it's easy to think, well, I have to make a move. I have to move jobs. You just said it yourself, Travis, right? The advice is, well, just get another one. Well, wait a second. First of all, if we take an action when we haven't stopped to give ourselves a few minutes could be years, could be weeks, could be months. We need to give ourselves some time. We may be just leapfrogging into the next wrong thing for us. So the first opportunity is to just recognize, how am I feeling? Ask yourself, how am I feeling? And a lot of us, myself included, are never taught, even from the time we're children, to feel. And so that can be a radical act, to just ask myself, how am I feeling? And to be able to identify that. Now, there's this beautiful device called an emotions wheel. Those of you who are listening who don't really know how to name or identify emotion, go find one of those. They're used by therapists everywhere, and they're brilliant at helping us recognize that there are many layers to that emotion. What do I think about this? What are my fixed beliefs about work? Is work supposed to fulfill me? Am I not supposed to care? Am I supposed to only work when I love my work? So, what are your beliefs around work and what's not working for you? Doesn't mean those beliefs are wrong or bad. And then, what is the physical toll that this is taking on you? So, step one is just to find a safe place and enough time to just do a little inventory. And if you're really disconnected from yourself, the way I was when I was first experiencing burnout, even it could be a radical act just to slow down long enough to spend a little time with yourself to
Right.
recognize that. Then do that inventory. How am I feeling? What am I thinking that's limiting or expanding my opportunity for possibilities? And then what is the impact on my body? And then give yourself some compassion, some forgiveness, some kindness, and understanding. You are where you are through a whole host of variables and factors that have gotten you to that moment. This is an opportunity to then choose mindset or movement. So, mindset, how am I thinking about this? And are there opportunities for me to reframe or to shift? Someone came to me complaining about something this morning. Oh, and I could feel the blood pressure coming up. And then I started singing that Bobby McFerrin song, a super old song, Don't Worry, Be Happy Now. And
Hmm.
it was my way of shifting, like just reframe, change the mindset, just reframe. And sometimes that's not the point. Sometimes we do need to move, but what do you need to move? What do you need to take action? Do you need information? Do you need support? Do you need a good bowl of soup? What do
Mm.
you need in order to act? And go through that day after day or week after week. It takes time for us to learn. Then, once you've got a better sense of what you need, can you honor what you need? Do you have a setup where people around you will support you in getting what you need? Are you really limited in your resources and it's hard? You know what you need, but maybe you can't give it to yourself right now. Can you give yourself a portion of that? Or could you set a date in the future where you could give yourself that? Yeah, I'll stop
Mm.
there. I could
No,
talk
that's
and talk
really
and talk.
beautiful and beautiful answer there. A bowl of soup is what I took is the takeaway. Sometimes you just need a bowl of soup, right?
Sometimes,
I
sometimes
love
a
that.
bowl of soup fixes
Oh
everything.
my gosh, that's like a bumper sticker or something or a shirt. I don't know. Like I just feel like I've got this bowl of soup on my mind now.
Yeah, yeah.
But why is it so hard for us to rest? I feel like it's just like, I we all need like permission, it feels like, from somebody or something to be able to rest. Why is it so hard?
Yeah. Well, there's the way that we're built as human bodies, and then there's the way that we've been raised. So I'll take the way you're in a human body, and the human body has a nervous system. And I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to get into all specifics. I'll give you the kindergarten version of this, which is that our body is built for protection and performance for survival. And so
Mm,
our nervous systems are looking for threats in the ecosystem and devising strategies to address them. So then I'll get to, and that's happening without us even being aware of it. What scientists will tell us now is that getting a stressful email is to our nervous system spotting a lion in the
mm,
wilderness. Our brains and our nervous systems can't distinguish between the two. So you
mhm.
might think, really, Kira, how unsafe am I? Hopefully you're thinking that because many of
Right.
us don't feel safe in our day-to-day lives. Um, but our brains are assessing always, all the time, the threats. And so if you're working at a fairly high level of stress, you're in a world that is pretty darn stressful right now. Your body is reacting with the chemicals and hormones it needs to stay alive. And the longer that happens, the more opportunity there is to deplete our energy and burn out.
Mm,
Then, to your question, Travis, each one of us has been raised with a framework, with a belief system, with positive and negative reinforcements for behaviors that, for many of us, ingrain our thoughts, feelings, and our physical actions into performing and not resting. So, the way we rest is to just tune in and pay attention. Is there an opportunity for me to rest? So, one of the things that happens with people that I coach is that our nervous system's going, going, going. Our belief system is, I got to keep going, going, going. And we miss the exit ramp. We miss the opportunities for rest. So, what I would say is just start to pay attention to the opportunities. One last thing, there's this kind of work hard, play hard ethos in our culture. The idea that I'm supposed to go, 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 and then I'm going to have a weekend or I'm going to have a vacation and that's going to fix it. And it doesn't fix it. That's
mhm,
when you know you're burning out. So I always encourage, look for recovery moments. Like after we're done talking, you don't have to jump into your next thing. You actually can rest. And maybe you still have an appointment at the top of the hour, but you could take 3 deep breaths. You could do 10 jumping jacks. You could text somebody and tell them you love them. You could pet your dog. There are
mm,
little moments of recovery of rest, but we don't give ourselves credit for those things. So when people start to recognize, wait a second, oh my gosh, Kyra's talking about this. I actually do some of those things. Tell your brain, give your brain credit because it will help your brain slow and calm down.
It almost feels like we've been harnessed into being these kinds of workers from all the way back from the Industrial Revolution and before that as well. It's not that long ago that we developed 40-hour work weeks. It's not that long ago that we stopped having children be our laborers, and I still feel like we're all on that same pace. And as we move into this new AI, ridiculously tech forward, space. You can't work. I mean, I don't know how about you, but I can't work 10 to 12 hours at a computer and think even halfway clearly. I mean, after 4 or 5 hours, I'm shot. I'm done. I remember I used to be back when I was an aerospace engineer, way back in the day. I always remember after lunch, I'd walk by people's cubicles and I'd see people just playing solitaire or just totally checked out for like 2-3 hours. I mean, sometimes it was the entire afternoon. And nobody really talked about it, but what they were doing is basically saying, I can't think anymore like you want me to think. And that's the world we're sort of in. Well, I want to move into, this is a good segue to move into sort of I'm curious about the corporate and that kind of aspect that you've worked with in terms of working with teams and also just what you know about how teams function better when they're focusing on their own well-being and taking personal rest. And I guess, how do you coach teams to operate differently in the context of like a wellness space around this idea of burnout, prevention of burnout, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've totally got like an office space visual going on right now with like all the folks that are like playing solitaire or doing whatever in their cubicles in those big old cubicle farms.
I've got the fish. I've got the fish being filleted on the office table in my mind right now. Like that's totally what. And the soup, the bowl of soup, and the fish now are both in my mind.
We've got these little markers throughout our conversation. Yeah, well, so the very best thing you can do as a team is talk about the fact that everyone wants to play solitaire at 2:30 in the afternoon. I mean, really what the work that I do with teams is really just about, can we just be open and honest and authentic? We are not robots. You're exactly right. We're not robots. No matter how hard you try. I mean, how much of us, I think about, college and how it was like I was trying to cram for a test, but at some point your head is literally bobbing, you falling asleep. Like, we are not robots. We need rest. So one of the best things you can do as a team is acknowledge, I need a break. One of the things that I used to do when I was running a fairly large team, we would have we call them capacity calls. And every week, and we went old school, just on like a sheet or a Excel doc. And so it wasn't even high-tech complicated. There are much more high-tech complicated ways to do it now. But the idea is each one of us had to report out on how many hours we had in the week and how much work we had to do. I mean, it's a basic math equation. And it took months and months and months for people on the team to build trust up enough to say, I've got a little capacity and I could help someone. Or for someone to say, I'm working so hard and I haven't seen my kids and I really need a break. So normalizing conversations about energy, around capacity, around work, around performance, and then setting boundaries, teaching, how do I set a boundary? How do I say, I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm burning out, like you were saying with your partner. We have to make it okay to have these conversations. So we start to reduce the heroics. We stop talking about, oh, I worked X number of hours yesterday, or, oh, pizza in the conference room again last night. Like, we wear those things like a badge. And there's this opportunity for teams, and that's the work that I do, is really to help teams identify what are those kind of badges that you're wearing as a team and what are the impacts of those. Now, we know for team performance, we always want some stress. We talk in the vernacular like stress is bad. Stress from a physiological perspective is actually good. It creates a gap between where we are and where we want to be. The problem is when that stress gets so much and for such a long period of time. That's when we risk burnout. So the work I do is just to have the leader has to be involved in the conversations because it can't just be the people that are reporting up to somebody. It has to be the whole group. You just identify where are our blind spots? Where do we have this old fashioned, these shoulds, these beliefs, these ideas around what performance looks like? Put metrics in place so you can measure true performance, actual work getting done, and then give people autonomy and a fancy word called agency, the ability for them to organize themselves around the work. So that a simple way to say it is you set a goal, the team agrees to the goal, negotiates the goal, and then works within their own capacity. Some people love to work at night. Some people are super early morning people. Give people the freedom and space to be able to get the work done. We're grown-ups. We don't need to be supervised,
Hmm.
in that sort of old-fashioned way of thinking about it. So at a real basic level, that's the piece that I work with teams on. We have to have trust. If you don't trust the people you're working with, then let's make an arrangement to not work together anymore. Because otherwise, we're managing in ways that are just so outdated and so demeaning and so demoralizing. It's like, make that go away. Can AI bring in some like end to some of this ridiculousness? I mean, to your point about the industrial revolution and the industrial era, you'll hear management consultants say this all the time, but it's like we're still managing people as though they were on
Hmm.
a manufacturing line 150 years ago. I mean, it's just absurd, or 120 years ago, whatever.
Yeah, most companies are still, it's just lip service that they're giving to really, like you said, listening and honoring the person in their and for what they do. It's I think companies should grade themselves or have other, I don't know. I feel like they should be audited for how well they are focusing on, like what I said earlier about how work is being done, as opposed to just focusing on the work itself being done. Measuring the outcomes in terms of a lot more qualitative ways, and not just numbers. On a spreadsheet.
Exactly. And when a team and a leader understands that their job, Peter Drucker, an old management consultant, he kind of built this idea of what is management. And he always said the role of the manager is to manage the energy of the team. So
Mm.
when you look at, a yoga class in the middle of the day or actually leaving your desk or your computer to take a lunch, it seems like, oh, that's so frivolous and unnecessary. It's like, no, it's the opposite. Your job is to manage energy, and lunch gives you energy. So like
Hmm.
A plus B, it's silliness. It's
And there
silliness. It's
and
just
there's
very
dyna
outdated ways of thinking about things that we don't need anymore.
Yeah, and there's dynamics amongst teams too that are interesting. Like you just talk about managing the energy of a team. I would imagine too, if you're an introvert, if you're more prone to being introverted or more prone to being extroverted, your energy can be drained in two completely different ways, right? Like, how do you see those kind of different types of people having their energy drained differently?
Yeah, so there are lots of ways we can slice and dice human beings, right? I mean, we're all of our brains and our nervous systems are wired differently. And so yes, very frequently the leader of the team has a particular style and a particular way that their brain processes, and so then they presume that that's the way everybody else's brains work too. But some of us need more quiet than others. Some of us need to work together collaboratively by talking. Others want other systems for collaboration. Some people don't take in information. We take in information in so many different ways. We don't all take in information the same. So, yeah, for a long time, and it still takes place, there will be personality tests or work style tests that teams will do. And it gives people, kind of a fun opportunity to make fun of the fact that you're a crane and I'm a crow or whatever. And that's fine. It's fine. And it helps us and it gives us insights. To me, it's more about creating that there's a term called psychological safety that a Harvard professor, Amy Edmondson, developed and researched. But the idea is really to create that sense of safety and community and trust so that I can say, I know you're chewing gum. I forgot my noise canceling headphones today. Is there a way we can work this out? Right. Because I have a sensory issue. And so noises and taking dishes out of the dishwasher, putting them in, those things can really impact my ability to concentrate. So for so long, people have felt they've needed to cover or limit themselves and the opportunities that they thought they had available to them based on the way that their brain and their nervous system processes. It's just one more way. Introvert, extrovert is another way that we manage energy. Like, let's just make it safe and okay for us to all be different and interesting, and unique
Totally.
and special.
Totally. Well, tell me what you do for your own personal wellness routine to stay balanced and not get into burnout. Like, how do you take care of yourself? I think a lot of the listeners would be curious how the expert does it.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say in the spirit of transparency is I am still a work in progress. I am always a work in progress. And there are times that I'm letting too much external stimuli impact my mood. And there are times when I still get frustrated and take a tone. So how
Wait,
do
so
I
that
do it?
you're human? You're human
Yes,
still? Okay.
I am.
All
I
right.
look back at who I was and how I was handling things 5 years ago, and I'm like, I shudder a little bit. I'm definitely doing better. I'm progressing. But what is better, right? I think for me, it's continuously being aware of what my brain is trying to trick me into, right? Whether it's judging somebody who I am absolutely sure doesn't like me, right? Or to feel like, well, my brain, I'm so excited about my day. I don't need more sleep, right? My brain is saying, just get up now. So I'm doing, I regularly am monitoring, and that might sound exhausting and not fun, but the more I practice it, the more it's just a really quick thing, like flipping into that song when I realize I'm going to the negative place. So a lot of it is just self-awareness and just monitoring and being aware. Oops, there goes that thought that's going to take me down a path and drain
Mhm.
my energy. Um, I have gotten into a strength training routine this
Ooh,
year, and I
nice.
I come from a generation of humans where I was not culturally raised to be that women should be strong, and so I'm just having an absolute blast with that.
Where do you do that at?
Actually, at a local there's a hotel that gave us an opportunity to
Oh, okay.
buy a little annual membership, and so
Okay.
it's a hotel gym. It's
All
really
right. All
fun.
right.
It sort of feels like our little gym. And then, I love to hike, I cook, and bake, and, oh, I wanted to share with you, I read such an interesting study earlier this year. It turns out that some people relax by doing things. So when you were talking about resting, we tend to think, well, that means I'm supposed to be a couch potato, but it turns out researchers have identified that even when we're still resting, even when we're doing a hobby, and even when we're doing things that someone else might not think we're resting, but we're actually resting. So I thought of that when I said
Mm.
I bake all of our bread and I cook our meals and things with local
But that
ingredients. And it
makes
just, no, but you can't see the smile on my face right now, but it just brings me such joy. And I thought that's a huge way that I relax. And then I teach Qigong. So I do Qigong multiple times a week.
So the idea that you can be relaxed while doing something, that does go back to what you were saying about energy management, because really anything that adjusts your energy, in this case, like for me, gardening, I also like to cook. And those are all things that I would say modulate my energy, and I actually gain energy from doing those things. Whereas some people, that would exhaust them, or it's just not them. They're going to gain energy from reading a book. And that's so it's really about, I think, more about modulating the energy more so than saying rest equals sleep or rest equals laying down or something like that. I think we can both agree with that. Now, that's a good segue into Qigong, because I don't know a lot about Qigong. I've done a touch of it, but like, I guess tell me about how Qigong might modulate somebody's energy in a good way.
Well, first, I will. First, I have to tell you, I've never thought about it in that frame. And I love that, Travis. It is about modulating energy. So, the easiest analogy is, maybe you've got your headphones in and your music is really loud. And all of a sudden, there's a moment where you realize, ooh, this song needs to be
Hmm.
turned down, right?
Right.
So, it's that same idea. And you're absolutely right. What energizes one person is very different than what energizes another. If you invited me to help you fix your car, I would want to curl up in a little ball and go to sleep immediately. Like, even just saying, I'm going to fix my car, I literally can feel my energy go down. I want to turn into a cat on a windowsill, right? But for somebody else, I can spend the afternoon fixing my car. Yes. So,
Hmm.
yes, I love that. I think that that can be really transformative to just pay attention. And I always encourage people to do that. Just pay attention. When you're talking with certain people, they're going to raise your energy up. Other people are going to draw your energy way down. So, yeah, you can start to identify for yourself if you've never thought about it in that frame. I love
I,
that, Travis.
I have one more thing to say.
Yeah.
This is really funny. I just had this thought while we're talking. Have you ever had the experience where you're talking to someone and they're really not on your same sort of energetic vibe, call it? They're just
No.
totally not that they're bad or anything like that, just not vibing at all with you, and both people feel the same. And then you get the like a yawn.
Yes.
I literally had this experience the other day. I'm talking to this guy, and him and I are just not at all like on the same energetic way. The guy yawns. I'm like, okay, I think we should probably wrap this up, because I'm like, I have just modulated his energy way low, and he needs to go to sleep if he continues to talk to me any longer.
Oh my God. Those moments are like, okay, I'm not going to take it
Yeah,
personally. We're just going to use this as a cue. Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
I'm sorry for you. It turns out we're going to we're going to talk about qigong. So I'll segue into that by telling you actually yawning, crying, burping, passing gas in any way that you feel like shaking, um they're all ways of purging, of releasing energy that's being built up. So I wonder if in this low energy conversation, if his body naturally just yawned because he had to get out some of the really heavy, like sleepy energy
I
to get
like
it
the way
out of
you
there.
reframed that. That's really good, positive
I'm
reframe.
trying
Good.
to help. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Um, yeah. So qigong is this funny thing. People, it's pronounced a million different ways. It's spelled different ways. People maybe have heard of it, but I didn't even know what it was. I just knew how it made me feel. So qi is the word for energy in Chinese. Gong means work. And so it's energy work. So people are familiar with yoga. Most people are. You may like it, you may not like it, but you're familiar with it. So yoga is an energy practice. It's you're moving your body, twisting and bending to release energy. So Qigong is an energy management system and practice that was developed by Taoists a bazillion years ago, and they developed it by watching nature. So Qigong, I'll call it, try to find super easy ways to frame it. So it's, what to China, what yoga is to India. It's the grandmother of Tai Chi. Most people have seen Tai Chi. My challenge with Tai Chi was you have to do a bunch of movements in a very specific way. And back in the day, I was trying to learn on video. And so I'd be like turned around and I couldn't see what was happening. And I was just in my head all the time. I practiced yoga for over 20 years. I was always in my head or in my body, like, how many downward dogs can I do? And have I stretched enough? So what Qigong does is it really creates an environment of quiet, stillness, and slowness.
Hmm.
And that will drive you nuts. If you're trying to accomplish and achieve and move and grow and build and all of the words that we use, Qigong can feel like the worst possible idea ever. Like, why would I want to? People always say, oh, that's when people are doing those really slow things in the park. And oh, I would never want to do that. And I always want to say, well, don't knock it till you try it. Because you talk about paying attention to energy and modulating energy, whew, you can't see a smile on my face, but Qigong like really helps you realize like how much your brain wants to run the show
Mhm.
and how much slowing down your body challenges your brain. And then you have to choose, am I going to keep trusting my body and move the energy to help me feel better? Or am I going to let my brain tell me this is stupid and I should be going faster? And why did I come to this class? You know?
Mm.
So that's what I love about it. It's this tension between trusting your body and trusting your energy and listening to your brain.
That's great. I know that we have like, I think science says we have like 70,000 thoughts a day. I think that's the number. I mean, it's just a
Oh my goodness.
staggering number of. I mean, and some of you are like, "Oh, Travis, I have 140,000. I'm pretty sure."
Exactly.
But the whole goal here is to, with qigong, yoga, all of these practices, I imagine what happens is we're trying to increase the gap between thoughts so that you have less of them. It's like planting. It's like creating a garden space that's really conducive to grow vegetables. In the same way in the same way, qigong is like, I think, probably creating a space, cultivating an environment where you have less intrusive thoughts because the gaps and things like that. That's how I'm envisioning it. Because if you're slowing things down, you're creating space, and anytime you create space, you create kind of this resiliency and more calm energy, whereas you're not so frantic, having racing thoughts. Probably people sleep better too.
Yeah. Well, and there's an expression which is where your thoughts go, energy flows. So, have you ever had that experience where you're building up the argument against somebody in your head? And the more you justify yourself, the more angry you get, and the more
Hmm.
you are absolutely convinced you are right, right? Like your
Hmm.
brain just wants to build the argument. So, where is the energy in your body going? It's not to digest your food, it's not to envision a powerful, amazing future. It's going to build the argument with that human. So, Qigong really teaches you to recognize if I'm moving my body, if I'm raising my arm, but I'm thinking about what I need to buy at the grocery store, I'm not in sync. I'm not in sync. So then we'll practice. Like when you recognize your one of those thousands and thousands of thoughts just hit your brain, it's okay. We don't need to judge it. Just invite your brain back to your hand. And
Mm.
so the more that you practice that, the more you realize like how much we're out of sync with ourselves in our day-to-day lives and what an
Hmm.
invitation there is to just be you and I are talking. We are fully present for each other. Our mind and our bodies, our senses, they're all tuned into this moment. And so it makes it so much more enjoyable to be human, to be alive, to be in connection with each other when we can be synced up and not so scattered, which is what
Yeah.
happens when with our energy. And then how do you manage scattered energy? It's like trying to like pull things out of the sky, herding cats, right?
Hmm. That's so true. I've said this on another podcast. I was talking about Eckhart Tolle, and he
Yeah.
wrote The Power of Now, and he talks about, and some others do this kind of technique like body scanning, where you just sit with yourself and you just feel like, close your eyes and feel the different parts of you. And you can start to do this even like I'm talking to you right now, and I just kicked into that mode of like I'm feeling my fingers and my sensations, and it's just like this way of dropping into and embodying into yourself, which I think is the practice we need to do more of right now in life, because it's the one thing that takes you out of your head and puts you back into yourself, like into your real self.
I agree. And I also want to acknowledge that for so many people, it doesn't feel safe to
Mm.
be in our bodies for so many reasons. Some
Hmm.
people's bodies have betrayed them in through illness. Some people have been through very traumatic experiences where they've dissociated on purpose because it's a strategy to stay alive and to stay safe.
Mm.
And so I just want to acknowledge that if you're listening and you don't feel safe in your body, that we see you, we hear you, and we respect where you are. And it doesn't mean that you have to spend a life disconnected or living in a body that doesn't feel safe. And so, Travis, the people that you're interviewing on your podcast, I'm sure are demonstrating that as well. There are so many invitations, there are so many modalities, so many beautiful, incredible healers in Asheville that can help you at your own pace, in your own time, at your own level of readiness, step into very safe, very slow ways to begin that exploration. So if people who are listening are starting, maybe you've come today because you're curious and you're starting that journey, I just want to welcome you and tell you it's okay to be where you are, and also to recognize one important distinction that you can make is for some people, when we start this journey, we want practitioners who can help us. So someone who does Reiki, for example, they're helping you release and move the energy that you don't know how to move yourself. Qigong teaches you to come into power and awareness so you can learn to move the energy yourself. So sometimes it can feel really scary, or people can say, no, I really don't want to do that because maybe you think, well, it's always up to someone else to be doing that on you or for you or with you. Other people might feel very comfortable learning how to come into their own agency, their own embodiment on their own. So, Travis, I
Mm.
just wanted to acknowledge that because I think every one of us has an invitation to come into ourselves more. And for some of us, I know for me too, I had no idea what I was going to uncover on that journey. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh, yeah, come
Mhm.
on in. Water's warm. It's easy to be mindful, and I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I
Mhm.
just know that for many of us, it's like, oh, yeah, this is great. I love it. Come on, join me in yoga. And
Yeah.
it can be
I
hard.
I just want to say thank you
Yeah.
for that. I think that's probably one of the more important messages that I've received from, I've had many guests on here already that are sharing important messages, but that was really struck me as like, wow, that's true and needed to be heard. We really need to we really need to honor the people out there that are just, of course, either new on their journey or starting out on their journey, and are just trying to figure out like something that's going to help them. And so many times it's scary to take that first step. And I guess I also just want to encourage people who are listening that once you do take that first step, uh, just know that the universe often conspires to bring the right people your way. So if you hear something on this podcast, maybe it's something Kyra said or someone else. I think the main message is that you know ease into it, but maybe consider taking your first step, and I think you'll be in good company with anybody who I have on here, anyways.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also invite, sometimes we can feel really guilty or invite shame into our lives by thinking, well, I used to start my morning with prayer, or I used
Hmm.
to go to the gym. Maybe I should get back to that. And I always want to encourage people, if you wanted to get back to it, you would have gotten back to it. It's okay. Don't invite the shame and the blame because it might mean that you're ready for something new. So yeah, try something new. And I think when we get curious, I love what you said, Travis. There will be, you don't have to analyze it all. You don't have to read all the reviews. Some people love to, just get social proof before they try something. And if that's your jam, go for it. But I agree with you, Travis. The people that I have encountered that have helped me the most, it's just been like I just happened to listen to a podcast, or someone happened to mention a book or whatever. And I followed the little trail of breadcrumbs that led me
Hmm.
to where I am. Yeah.
That's what it is. Just
Mhm.
follow the breadcrumbs.
Yep.
Love that. Okay. Well, let's go. Let's do a couple. Well, first of all, before I go, we're gonna wrap up here soon. We're gonna go through a rapid fire round. I got some quick questions for you. Before I do that, do you still teach over at Asheville Community Yoga on Tuesdays? Can people engage with
I
you for qigong over there, or is that what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's funny, you hear Asheville Community Yoga, you might not know there are actually 3 Qigong instructors over there. So, yep,
Oh,
you can go to Asheville Community Yoga and look on the schedule for Kyra Cavanaugh. I teach on Tuesdays and I'll be subbing a fair amount on Saturdays as well.
very cool. Okay, lightning round. Number 1,
Okay.
what's your favorite grounding food or go-to comfort meal?
Awesome. So it's my new favorite thing. You take a sweet potato, you get it soft, however you want, boiled, baked, whatever. And then you add whatever kind of flour you like to use until it becomes like a dough that you can roll out. You roll it out really thin and then put it in a hot pan. And it basically makes like a sweet potato kind of tortilla wrap thing. And then just whatever I've got, I throw on in there. But it's just,
Mm,
sweet potatoes and me are besties.
totally love that. I eat a ton of sweet potatoes too. That's great. All right. Well, what's one local wellness spot or business or trail that you like to go to for your self-care?
Hmm. So Black Balsam Knob is probably my favorite. I will be perfectly honest that since Helene, it's been hard to get out to the trail. I've been doing some group hiking with Swannanoa Valley Museum. Highly encourage. Um, but I'm still Craggy was my favorite, and we
Mm.
can't get there. And Craven Gap was my go-to after work, and we can't get there. So I'm holding out hope that some of my faves will eventually be rebuilt. But I'll say Black Balsam Knob because that's my fave.
That's
I
one of
love
my
food.
favorites too. I've only been
Mhm.
once a year ago. Black Balsam Knob was such a great. You get like the vistas. If you haven't, if guys are out there listening haven't done that hike, you absolutely have to. It's phenomenal.
And
Love
I'll
it.
give you a pro tip. I came upon it accidentally. Hike it at the end of the day on the night of the full moon and get there. You'll see the full moon rising and the sun setting. One of
Ooh,
my
pro
favorite
tip.
experiences.
Love that one. Love that one. All right. Well, this last one here. Tell us something quirky or strange or weird about yourself. Surprise us about you.
I'm a really good crier.
Mm.
And it used to be something that I thought I had to hide. Used to be something that I had really mixed feelings about. And now I realize crying is just a way to let it out. And I've learned I don't actually have to know why I'm crying anymore.
Mhm.
Crying will just come up on me, especially post hurricane. And I just let it happen. And sometimes, a lot of times, I don't even really know why. But yeah, so I'm an easy crier. There's a good one.
Oh, I like that. I'm the same way. I cry so easily. My dad actually, I'm a man that was brought up by a father that always told him that crying was okay, and he cried in front of me regularly, which is so rare. I like have meet zero men that had their that experience where their dad told them that it was okay to cry. So I'm always blessed. But yeah, I'm like zero problem with just letting it rip.
That is incredible that you were raised to know that crying was okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. One of the blessings my dad gave me.
That's cute.
Okay. Well, so this has been an awesome conversation. How can people engage with you? I know you've got a couple resources on your website. I've been to both of them. Do you want to tell us about how people can find you, engage with you? I know that we already talked about they can join your class on Tuesdays. What else? What other ways can
Yeah,
we?
just reach out to me at either one of my websites. And then there's a whole bunch of free stuff available at my YouTube channel called Free Yourself World. And yeah, just reach out. I do coaching. I also am very available to just if someone has heard something that piques your curiosity, literally reach out and I actually will call you and have a free conversation with you just to try to help you out. I don't do a ton of social. It's funny. I have one of my sons said, I don't do social, and he's very young. He said, I don't do social for mental health reasons. And I said, can I borrow that one? So I don't do a lot of social. I'm a very human to human, kind of in person kind of gal. But yeah, you can reach out to me at either one of my websites or check out some resources on my YouTube channel. So
well,
thanks, Travis.
absolutely. You're a fantastic human being. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Quick question though on the coaching. So you do one-on-ones. Do you do also coaching with businesses, or you're still doing both arms of what you do is like single, people and then businesses? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So what I would say is if you're somebody who's either leading a team of people, and it can be any kind of team of people, and or you're someone individually where you're just feeling stuck and you're just not quite sure, maybe you've tried some different things and you're not quite sure, you just feel like you're in a funk. Those are the kinds of situations where I can be of most value. And the coaching that I do is really around helping you identify the kinds of things we were talking about today, Travis, because the more you practice them, the easier they sort of they become. But to start out can feel really daunting. And sometimes people aren't really sure, like, I don't even really know what to do next. Or maybe they're just feeling stuck and ready for a transition. So yeah, you can reach out to me, and and then we just kind of tailor what will work best for the individual. So
Wonderful. Well, I think you'd make an awesome coach. So
thanks, Travis.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who's listening. Have an awesome day. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Wellness in Asheville podcast. If you enjoyed this episode with Kyra, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who could use a little inspiration. You can catch the next episode while on your way up to visit Mount Mitchell, or cruising down I-26, or on your way to catch a nice sunset view over at the Black Balsam Knob. You can check out more Asheville wellness news and events and join our newsletter at bewellasheville.com. Thank you for being the best part of our wellness community. And until next time, be well.